Justine.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
Good, thanks. Cool. I just think if we can wait like a few seconds, just 30-ish seconds to make sure everyone gets their notifications, and then we can start chatting.
Perfect.
Cool. We've already got one viewer. Hello, everybody, or one of you. Hopefully more to come.
I'm rearranging windows so I can see two things at once.
Okay, awesome. All right, cool. We're going to get started. Hello, everyone. I am Justine, and I do the social media at Franc, and I'm here today to ask Nick some questions about our exciting new rollout here at Franc, which is the Franc Academy. Nick does investment strategy at Franc. So, hi, Nick.
Hi, Justine.
Cool. So to start, can you tell us a bit about Franc Academy and what it is? And yeah.
It was designed with the Franc audience in mind. There is obviously a lot of content on the web. There's any number of YouTube videos and websites with loads of good information. But for novices in the financial markets or people new to investing, it's also bewildering because there's so much content. It's hard to know where to begin. It's hard to know what level to start at. Sometimes you try and answer a question, you dip into an article, and you just don't understand half the terminology.
Yeah,
obviously,
so much.
Yeah. So within the Franc community, we have some idea of who our users are. Obviously, they vary, but we do attract a lot of new investors, and from the questions we get, we have some idea what they need to know. So the idea of the academy was to write lessons which are specific to the South African audience and to the circumstances of many of our investors, the kind of issues that they want to tackle. And yeah, in line with the Franc philosophy of trying to democratize investing, it's free to view. It's available to everyone, not just active members of Franc. The lectures we've tried to structure it so that if you go through the lectures in order, your understanding of concepts builds up progressively. At the same time, we've tried to make each lesson or article such that you can read it on its own if you want to answer a specific question, whether it's about inflation or compound growth or whatever the case may be. So that's a quick overview of what we're doing.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's so super important to highlight that it's free. So anybody can come and use the Franc Academy and go through the lessons. So you don't have to have any prior investing knowledge to start with the Franc Academy. It's super simple, basic, taking you from like the bottom.
Absolutely. We've tried to make it very introductory, no assumptions about people's literacy, financial literacy, or even numeracy. One of the lessons in the early lessons, we actually talk about percentages, because in my experience, unfortunately, a lot of people coming out of the South African school system don't really have a good grasp of, just how percentages. It's good to have a basic grasp of percentages and annualized percentages in the investment world. It's just the best way of comparing different things, whether it's fees or rates of return. So there's literally, you can go and try and get a handle on percentages. That's how introductory the lessons are. We are going to be
percentages either, so that's good news.
We are going to be adding a glossary. It's obviously a work in progress, and people, I think, will understand that we're adding lessons as we go along. We've got loads more content to add, and we're busy writing more content and editing more content. And we will be adding a glossary where you can hover over certain key terms to get quick definitions. It's very difficult to write in the investment world and avoid jargon, completely. So a glossary will help.
Cool. I think one thing that I know when I first started my investment journey is getting, and I know Seb from Franc, I still make mistakes with ETFs and EFTs, and I think it's important to know all the terminology, because when you do sit down with somebody, may it be, if you decide to go the financial advisor route, or somebody who's trying to explain things to you, they use terms that, to be honest, do go over a lot of people's heads. So a glossary, there's so much information in the Franc Academy, but it's great that we'll also be adding things so that people can learn what sometimes feels like a new language to people starting out. How long are the lessons? Is it very time consuming, or is it something that, does it take a week, or could you zoom through it in a day, for example?
They vary from, probably the shortest one being a kind of 5-minute read to maybe a 10 to 12-minute read. Some, if you were to print them out, some of them would be as short as a page, and some of them are 2 or 3 pages. But none of them are tomes. There's no sort of 30-page lessons. They're all fairly manageable chunks. And on average, if you put 10 minutes aside, you're going to get through a lesson, no trouble. And we've got about, we've got about 14 lessons up, I think, so far, of what will eventually probably be more like 40.
Wow.
So, it would be a bit much, I think, reading all the lessons in one shot at the moment, but you probably could do it in a few hours if you wanted to, But as I say, it is designed that you can jump around, and that is how people consume knowledge. Not many people will go through it in a structured way. We know that. There are benefits to doing that if you're really struggling with some of the concepts, because then it is designed to build up the knowledge. But for most people, answering a specific question they have at a point in time will work, and they can jump around the articles or the lessons to suit their needs.
You mentioned questions. Is there any homework? Like, do you go through the lessons and then have homework that you have to do? Because I'm still traumatized by homework from school. And varsity.
There's homework. There's detention if you don't get things right. No. There's no homework. We do envisage, once we've got more content up, adding a few kind of fun quizzes as a way for people. There are 2 elements to that we hope to do, or we will do. The one is a quiz to help you measure what your understanding is and kind of where to enter the academy lesson. So you might do the quiz, and it might say, you've got the basics down pat, why don't you start at the second level? Then the other idea is to have some fun quizzes at the end of each section where you can kind of test your understanding of things. But just fun multiple choice things. I hope to get those done in the next couple of months. And there has been talk about, could we make some sort of certification process out of it? But I think it's too soon to really broach that. Well, once we've got more of the content up, we can assess whether that's feasible.
Yeah, that's great. That was my next question, is about a certification. But I think there's so many other platforms that also give knowledge and don't have a certificate. I think it might be that it's quite a difficult thing to give, because you go from being an investment platform like Franc to being like an educator, which isn't necessarily, I'm not sure. I don't think that's in Franc's plan. We want to let people know as much as we can about investing so they can make smart decisions, like putting their money in their Franc account. But then also we don't want to become a financial institution. So I just wanted to say, anybody that's watching the live, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments, and we'll get to them at the end, after I've asked Nick just a few more questions. So I just want an overview of a few things people can learn through the academy. Like, I've gone through it, I've done the first few lessons. What are if you had to summarize, like, the key themes of topics that we cover in Franc Academy as it is currently?
Thanks, Justine. So it's broken into sections. The first section is called Getting Started, and it tries to deal with basic questions. I mentioned, what are percentages? There's a lesson on understanding interest, and explains first of all, how interest works, why we have interest, why do banks pay interest, or why do they charge interest, and also why interest is quite a foundation concept for investing. If you understand interest, a lot of other things kind of fall into place. It explains concepts like capital growth and income and the differences. A little bit about credit and borrowing at a very introductory level. And that's a good example of a theme that's revisited at different levels. So there's some introductory stuff on what is credit and what are the advantages and pitfalls of debt at an introductory level. Then we revisit that at a higher level in terms of, what is the debt trap? What do we really mean by that? And what is good debt and what is bad debt? And there will be a lesson further on which actually goes into the mechanics of debt at quite a sophisticated level, and how it works, and the mechanics of interest payments and so on. So certain themes will get revisited. The same thing is true with the stock market. There's some introductory comments about the stock market, really at the level of what it is that if you buy shares, you become
buying. What are these things?
Yeah, you become part owner of a business that you might know. You can buy shares in Vodacom or MTN, but then getting much more detailed about that in later lessons, which are structured at a higher level, as it were. So the first level is introductory concepts, kind of, we call it Getting Started. And then there are other levels dealing with the stock market specifically, because it's such an important area in investment. There'll be more stuff on budgeting and money management and some of the behavioral things that people do where they actually sabotage themselves in terms of their saving discipline and so on. And then ultimately we'll get to quite sophisticated things. I mean, we will add a couple of articles on things like hedging and derivatives, not to turn people into futures traders, but just so they've got some idea of what the whole range of investment options are, and when or why they would maybe include those. We need to at some point have an article about Bitcoin and those kind of things. What are they? When should you, if ever, consider having them in your portfolio? For example. So that's ultimately quite a broad scope. And we've probably only done, I would guess, a quarter of the content so far.
Great. I'm sure there's I was having a chat with Seb about Bitcoin the other day, and all the Bitcoin people are a bit quiet at the moment. But it's very volatile, and there's one of those jargon terms. Volatile is a term that needs to be understood in investment markets. Well, from the lessons that I've done so far, I know you bring up a gamble, and I would, in my mind, I would take putting money into any sort of crypto, or especially Bitcoin at the moment, as more of a gamble, because it's more of a new offering. We don't really know, Elon Musk talks about something and it shoots up 400,000 rand, and then he says another thing and it goes down. So I would almost, it's volatile, and in my mind, the new term I learned from like putting it into an investment space with gambling with your money. And nobody likes to do that, especially not with large amounts. We have a question from Ashwin. I'm just going to put it onto the screen, but he asks, does the team at any point see us offering the resource on a different platform? So like through a podcast or YouTube videos?
We do offer most of our blog articles in podcast format as well. And it is part of the plan to make podcasts of the lessons in due course. We haven't talked about YouTube. Interesting, because there are things one could do with graphics and so on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting idea for us to consider. It's not on the table at the moment, but the podcast definitely.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Ashwin. And we have another one that's come in from Tara. This is great. All the things you wish they taught you in school. Will you also cover how investments are taxed?
We will touch on tax. I think we touched on it already. In fact, in some of the articles, just the difference between capital gains tax and income tax. I think we've uploaded that article. And we will go into it in more detail. Tara, the reason it's not there yet is because a lot of our investors are starting out and I think are below the tax threshold. That's our perception. So, but hopefully some of them will have enough money to be worrying about tax by the time we get to those articles.
For sure, especially if they're investing consistently and paying themselves first. You've got to make investing a priority. I think the Franc Academy is so important because there's such a gap in financial literacy, and there's also so many people offering advice and starting all these channels and things and giving advice when they actually don't have a lot of time in the game or the kind of experience that you have, Nick. So I just want to, from as we're coming to the end of this, but I want to know why Franc Academy is so important and why and your kind of experience and background. So I know that you're the person I want to listen to, but why would other people trust Franc's Academy as a place to learn?
Learning, in my view, learning is just such an important thing in life generally. We're all on our life's journeys are all about learning about ourselves, about how to do things, how to cope with life's problems, and money management and investing are one aspect of that. And we find ourselves in a culture of the quick fix, of instant gratification in so many areas, and that's true of investment as well. And a lot of the advertising that you see around investments is promising quick returns and make a quick buck and transform your life quickly. That's especially true of like the Forex trading courses and that sort of thing. And the only way to understand what's real, what's possible is through knowledge, is through some sort of understanding. The only way to be able to tell the difference between someone who's talking sense and telling you about an investment that's a real opportunity and someone who's spinning you a yarn and wants to steal your money is knowledge and understanding. So that's what the Franc Academy is trying to do. It's trying to equip people and arm people so that they can be in charge of their own finances. They can understand what they're reading, what's being said to them, and be astute. And even with good financial advisors, especially with smaller clients, financial advisors can be busy and a bit time starved, and they perhaps don't give quite as much time to a small client as they ought to. And if you're equipped as a client to ask the right questions and to drill down into questions about costs and rates of return and exposure, you may get a much better result than if you just blithely took the advice of a financial advisor. And that's it. And I'm talking about a space where the person you're talking to is credible and actually not trying to rip you off, you can still improve your results if you know what's going on. And at the other end of the extreme, you want to avoid the rip-offs, and unfortunately, they continue happening in the financial world. So, for all of those reasons, education is key, and to get educated, to get knowledge, it has to be pitched at the right level for a particular audience. So it's putting those things together that we're trying to achieve with the Academy content.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. Yeah, it's so important. I know just from managing Franc's social media, there's so many people who spam our pages with get-rich-quick schemes and Forex trading and buy this and this WhatsApp scam. So there's so many out there, and I think the only way to make sure you don't become statistic, because sadly it happens a lot, is to educate yourself about it. And yeah, thank you so much for working on the Franc Academy and making all this knowledge freely available to people. I think the only thing left to say is go and check out the Franc Academy on the Franc website, which is www.franc.app, and there's an Academy tag. And yeah, go and learn some things. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about the Academy. Appreciate it, Justine. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.